Hi, and welcome to Talk Straight Bible. I'm your host, Rafina Antonetti, and today I want to start a series on the I ams of Christ. But before we get into the I ams of Christ, which I'm going to be presenting to you from the book of John, I want to give a little summary of the four Gospels. As you know, that the four Gospels is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And Matthew represents Jesus as the promised Messiah, the coming King. It also reveals Jesus as the star that would come out of Jacob, the scepter that would rise out of Israel, and the one who would sit on David's throne. The gospel also reveals the kingdom to come. And in Matthew, Jesus' genealogy is recorded from Abraham to Joseph, making Jesus the legal heir to the throne of David. The symbol of the Gospel of Matthew is the lion, the king of the jungle, representing the lion, the king of the Jews. And as we know, he is the lion of the tribe of Judah. Hallelujah. The Gospel of Mark presents Jesus as the suffering servant, which is prophesied in Isaiah 53. Jesus humbled himself and came to do the will of his Father and to reveal the amazing love and grace of God. This is clearly seen in Jesus' own words, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many." And we see that in Mark 10:45. There's no genealogy recorded in the Gospel of Mark. The symbol of the Gospel of Mark is the ox, a beast of burden, representing the burden of sin Jesus took upon himself for us. Then we have the Gospel of Luke. And Luke presents Jesus as the Son of Man, the messianic title from the prophecy of Daniel, found in Daniel 7:13, and as the Son of David. Luke focuses on Jesus' humanity, and he beautifully details the announcement of his incarnation and his birth. Luke is the only gospel that gives a glimpse into Jesus' childhood years. The genealogy in Luke begins with Joseph as the husband of Mary and traces Jesus' ancestry through Mary's bloodline, from the line of David, making Jesus the biological heir to the throne of David. And the symbol of the Gospel of Luke is man, representing Jesus in human form. So here, the books of Matthew, Mark, and Luke are considered the synoptic Gospels because they contain the same kind of stories, and their stories are sometimes even presented in the same sequence within each of those three different Gospels. But then now we find ourselves in the book of John, and John presents Jesus as the Son of God, the second person of the Trinity, co-equal, co-eternal with the Father and the Spirit. John's record is beautiful in revealing Jesus' divinity. The genealogy John records is short but complete in recording Jesus coexistent with God the Father from everlasting. Wow. John's gospel is glorious in revealing the riches of our salvation. It says in John 17:21, they all may be one, just as you, Father, are in me and I in you, that they also may be one in us, so that the world may believe that you sent me. Isn't that beautiful? The symbol of the Gospel of John is an eagle, representing majesty, that is above our earth. John starts his book by saying, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And he was in the beginning with God." So it's not a surprise, right? When Jesus says in the book of Matthew, 5:17, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them." Because he was from the beginning. He has always been. And in the Old Testament background, we see that with Moses when he goes to the burning bush and he stands before the burning bush. And it's it is just so amazing that God speaks to him through that burning bush. And in Exodus 3:13 through 14, this conversation is going on between Moses and God. And then Moses said to God, "Behold, when I come to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your fathers' ancestors has sent me to you,' and they say to me, 'What is his name?' what shall I say to them?" And God said to Moses, "I am who I am." And he said, "You shall say this to the Israelites, 'I am has sent me.'" That word, "I am," is Heye, Heya, Haya. And it means it exists. To be, become, come to pass. That which exists and has breathed. I am the existing one. That's what God was telling Moses. I am the existing one. I am. I have always been. I love that. And then we find the New Testament fulfillment when Jesus says himself, "I am." When God calls himself the "I am" in Exodus 3, it's a pivotal moment of redemption history. God reveals himself to his people and comes to redeem them out of exile and lead them into a new life. God's name discloses who he is and what he is like. He is the I am, the eternal, the unchanging, self-existing one, infinite and glorious in every way, and above and beyond all created things, he is God. Then Jesus applies that same title to himself. And he claims to be God because he says in John 8:58, "I assure you and most solemnly say to you, before Abraham was, I am." Wow. Wow. He's not a helper of God or a great teacher, though he was a great teacher, but the divine, eternal, pre-existent, infinite, perfect being. He is Israel's God. He is greater than Moses because he is the God of Moses. He has life in himself and he can give life to us. The Jews knew that taking on this title was making such a claim. They knew it. They were like, what is he saying? Is he trying to say that he's God? This is why they immediately picked up stones to kill him. In John 8:59. So The 7 I ams statements that are in the book of John might be best understood as falling under and echoing this initial ultimate claim of Jesus. He is God. He is the God of Israel. And all the Old Testament and God's redemptive acts were pointing to the coming of Jesus as the God in the flesh, the true and better Israel, the fulfillment of all the Old Testament types and shadows. And we know if we study the tabernacle of Moses, that it was types and shadows of Christ. And if we study it, we will be able to see even by the pegs and the curtains. I can't wait till my husband finally does this study and shows the curtains, the pegs, the posts, the strings, the lace. Everything had significance, and everything pointed to the New Testament and to Jesus. So in the Gospel of John, we're going to see that Christ gives a more complete revelation of himself and of God than any of the other synoptic Gospels. So with that said, we will continue on with the I ams of Christ. God bless you, and until we meet again, shalom.